What happens when country music royalty sits down with daytime television's most controversial hosts, and the conversation takes a turn nobody saw coming? What follows is one of the most explosive confrontations in daytime TV history, sparked by what began as an innocent question about Nashville politics. Reba Mcentire walked onto The View set that morning, expecting a warm, casual promotional interview about her latest album. The studio audience buzzed with excitement as she took her seat at the iconic curved desk, flashing the signature smile that had charmed America for decades. Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sarah N., Alyssa Farah Griffin, and Sunny Hostin greeted her with their usual enthusiasm, but there was an unmistakable charge in the air, something off, something tense. "Welcome back to The View, Reba," Whoopi said, adjusting her glasses as she sorted through her note cards. "It's always a pleasure to have you here, and your new album is incredible." Reba thanked her warmly and settled comfortably into her chair, radiating ease and familiarity. But the calm didn't last. Joy Behar leaned forward with a mischievous grin, the kind viewers knew meant trouble was brewing. "So Reba, before we dive into the music, I have to ask about something making headlines lately. There's been a lot of talk about country music's relationship with politics, especially after some comments from other artists in Nashville." Reba's smile stayed in place, but her eyes sharpened. "Well, Joy, I've always believed music should bring people together, not divide them. That's what country music has always been about for me." Sunny Hostin jumped in immediately, her voice carrying its trademark prosecutorial edge. "But surely you have opinions about what's happening in the country right now. Your fan base is largely from red states, and critics say country artists stay silent on important issues, so they don't alienate fans." The room grew still. The audience sensed the shift. Reba straightened, her Oklahoma drawl becoming more pronounced. "I think that's a pretty broad assumption, Sonny. Country artists care deeply about their communities. You just might express it differently than folks expect." Joy wasn't letting go. "But expressing it differently often means not expressing it at all, doesn't it? When there's injustice, staying silent can be complicity." Reba's hands tightened on the table. "Hold on just a minute. You're putting words in my mouth and making assumptions about what I believe. I've been in this business over 4 decades. I've seen plenty of injustice. I've also seen what happens when people judge without knowing the full story." Whoopi tried to redirect, but Joy pressed harder. "When you have a platform that big, maybe there's a responsibility to speak out against hate and discrimination." Reba's expression changed, steel flashing in her eyes. "Joy, you don't know what I do with my platform. You don't know the conversations I have, the charities I support, or the people I help. Just because I don't broadcast every political issue doesn't mean I don't care." Joy shot back, "But caring privately isn't the same as using your influence publicly. When democracy is threatened, neutrality isn't an option." The tension in the studio was electric. Audience members shifted uneasily. The other hosts exchanged wary glances. Reba inhaled slowly, trying to keep her composure. "You know what, Joy, I came here to talk about music, to share something beautiful. But since you insist on turning this into a political interrogation, let me be clear. I don't need lectures about how to use my platform." Sarah N. tried to soften the moment, but Joy cut her off sharply. She continued pressing Reba about the message her silence sends. Finally, Reba's composure cracked. "You want to talk about messages. What message does it send to ambush a guest? To act like anyone who doesn't share your exact political beliefs is morally lacking." Joy insisted she was simply asking legitimate questions, but Reba wasn't having it. "No, you're not. You're making assumptions based on your own narrative. And I didn't come here to be judged." Reba's expression hardened, her voice low and sharp. "Recognize something. Joy, you're lecturing me like I'm some naive little country girl who doesn't understand the world. Well, let me tell you something. I've been through more real adversity than most people see in a lifetime. I've lost people I love. I've fought battles you couldn't imagine. And every bit of success I have, I earned through hard work and respecting others. Whoopi tried again to regain control of the room, but Joy pushed forward, her tone clipped. And I respect all of that, Reba, truly. But respect goes both ways. When your fans include people who might be voting against their own interests because they believe their favorite country star shares their views, doesn't that create a responsibility for clarity? That was the moment the interview detonated. Reba stood so abruptly, her chair rolled backward. The studio falling into stunned silence. You want clarity, Joy? Here's clarity. I don't owe you or anyone else a detailed breakdown of my political beliefs just because you think my fans are too stupid to think for themselves. The audience gasped, the kind of sound that echoes. Sunny looked ready to disappear under the desk, and Alyssa froze like a statue. Even Joy's confidence wavered. That's not what I said, she insisted. But Reba wasn't buying it. It's exactly what you said, she fired back. You just dressed it up in big talk about democracy and responsibility. You act like country fans are some monolithic group who can't think without entertainers telling them what to believe. Joy's face reddened as she leaned forward. That is absolutely not what I think. And you're twisting my words. My? Reba challenged, hands on her hips. Because it sure sounds like you're saying that unless I endorse every cause you personally deem important, then I'm failing my fans and my country. The tension was suffocating. Even the camera operators seemed frozen. This was no longer. Daytime TV drama had become something raw and uncontainable. Whoopi finally spoke, her voice booming over the silence. Reba, please, let's sit down and try to have a productive conversation. But Reba stayed standing, anger held tightly under control. Productive. With all due respect, Whoopi, there's nothing productive about being lectured by someone who already decided who I am before I walked through the door. Joy, unable to hold back, jumped in again. Nobody's lecturing you. We're trying to have an honest discussion about the role of celebrities in today's political climate. If you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. Time the audience reacted with a collective shock. Even for The View, the line had been crossed. Reba's eyes widened with disbelief. Did you just tell me I shouldn't be doing interviews because I won't play your political gotcha game? Her voice dropped to a quiet, edgy, dangerous tone, the kind that people raised in the South recognize as the final warning before a storm. Joy, I've been giving interviews since before half your audience was born. I've sat across from everyone, from Barbara Walters to Howard Stern. And never not once has anyone treated me as disrespectfully as you're treating me now. Alyssa finally found her voice, trying to smooth things over, but Reba wasn't hearing it. She meant exactly what she said. At least now I know where I stand with you people. Sunny's head snapped up. You people? What does that mean? Reba let out a short, bitter laugh. It means the kind of people who sit in their Manhattan ivory tower, judging everyone else's choices. The kind who assume that anyone who doesn't think exactly like them must be ignorant or backward. Joy's face flushed red as she stood, matching Reba's posture. Now you're calling us elitist. That's rich coming from someone worth millions, living in a Nashville mansion. At least I earned my money without talking down to hardworking people every day, Reba shot back. At least I don't make a living dividing people and making them feel ashamed of who they are. The studio erupted in murmurs, producers waving frantically behind the cameras. It was slipping beyond anyone's control. Whoopi stood too, her voice booming. Ladies, we need to calm down right now. This is not what The View is about, isn't it? Reba countered, turning toward her. Because from where I'm standing, this is exactly what the view is about. You bring on guests, pretend to be friendly, then attack them the moment they don't recite your political script. Sarah, trying to defend the show, insisted they welcomed diverse perspectives, but Reba wasn't convinced. Have you really? Or do you just bring on people you can either celebrate for agreeing with you or tear down for disagreeing? Because those seem like the only two categories. Joy, unable to hold back any longer, spat out, "You know what your problem is. You're used to everyone in your little Nashville bubble telling you how wonderful you are. And you can't handle being challenged." The studio went dead silent again. Reba's face cycled through shock, hurt, and finally, a fury so controlled. It was chilling. "My little Nashville bubble," she repeated quietly. "You really want to talk about bubbles? You want to talk about being challenged? Let me tell you about challenges," Reba began, her voice firm and unwavering. "I've been divorced. I've lost a child. I've had my heart broken more times than I can count. I've had to rebuild my life from scratch more than once. I've been criticized, scrutinized, and judged by everyone from music critics to gossip columnists, to people like you who think they know my story." The studio had gone completely silent. Even Joy seemed to realize she might have pushed too far, but Reba wasn't finished. "You sit here in your safe little TV studio, surrounded by people who agree with everything you say, making jokes about people you've never met, passing judgment on lives you've never lived. And you have the audacity to talk to me about bubbles?" Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Reba raised a hand, stopping her. "I'm not done. You want to know what really bothers me about all this? It's not that you disagree with me about politics. People can disagree about politics and still respect each other. What bothers me is that you think disagreement gives you the right to be cruel. You think it gives you the right to attack someone's character, make assumptions about their fans, question their integrity." Whoopi tried again to intervene. "Reba, I think there might be some misunderstanding here." "No, Whoopi. There's no misunderstanding. This is crystal clear." Reba cut in, sitting down but keeping her posture rigid. "I came here today as a professional courtesy to promote my work and hopefully entertain your audience. Instead, I got ambushed by someone who decided long before I walked through that door that I was the enemy." Joy, her voice shaking slightly with frustration, responded, "I never said you were the enemy, Reba. But I also didn't say I would pretend that staying silent on important issues is admirable, just to make you comfortable. There it is." Reba pointed directly at her. "That moral superiority I was talking about. You've decided your way of handling issues is the only acceptable way, and anyone who does things differently is somehow lesser than you." Sunny, watching the exchange, with concern, interjected gently, "I think both of you are making valid points. But maybe we're talking past each other here." "No, Sunny," Reba said, her voice steady but edged with steel. "We're not talking past each other. We're having exactly the conversation Joy wanted. She wanted to put me on trial for not being political enough for her taste. And that's exactly what's happening." The camera caught Joy rolling her eyes, which only fueled Reba's fire. "Did you just roll your eyes at me? Are you kidding me? If you start this whole thing, you attack my character and my fans. And when I defend myself, you roll your eyes like I'm some petulant child." Joy threw her hands up in frustration. "I'm rolling my eyes because you're acting like I personally attacked you when all I did was ask about using your platform responsibly. That's all I did. All you did." Reba's voice rose. "All you did was question my integrity, insult my fans, and lecture me about my moral obligations. That's your idea of asking a question? I'd hate to see a real attack." Tension in the studio was palpable. Audience members glanced back and forth like spectators at a match, unsure whether to be entertained or alarmed. Alyssa tried again to mediate. Maybe we can agree there are different ways to make a positive impact in the world. Exactly, Reba said, her voice softening slightly. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. But apparently, some people think their way is the only way, and everyone else is wrong, cowardly, or both. Joy remained unyielding. Reba, you keep saying I'm attacking you, but all I'm asking is why someone with your influence chooses to stay quiet. When people are suffering, that was the final straw. Reba slammed her hand on the table, the sound echoing through the studio like a gunshot. The audience gasped. "Stay quiet," she said, her Oklahoma accent thick with emotion. "Stay quiet, Joy. You don't know the first thing about what I do or don't do. You don't know about the checks I write, the calls I make, the people I help. You don't know about the young artists I mentor who come from all different backgrounds and beliefs. You don't know about the charities I support or the causes I champion." Joy started to interrupt, but Reba cut her off. "No, you've had your turn. Now it's mine. You want to lecture me about suffering? I've seen more suffering than you could imagine. I've held the hands of dying children in hospitals. I've visited military families who've lost everything. I've been to disaster zones where people have lost their homes, their livelihoods, everything they've worked for. And do you know what I didn't do? I didn't bring cameras. I didn't tweet about it. I didn't make it about me." The studio was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Even Joy was momentarily speechless. "But because I don't perform my compassion for your approval, because I don't turn every charitable act into a political statement, you think I'm silent. You think I don't care. Well, let me tell you, Joy Behar, I care more than you'll ever know, and I do more than you'll ever see. But I don't do it for applause, social media likes, or to impress people like you." Whoopi, clearly realizing the situation had spiraled far beyond repair, tried desperately once more to regain control.